All right, I've welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, August 11th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, markets here basically flat to lower for the most part. The Dow is up 32 basis points. The Russell's fractionally higher. And the spiders right now are down 6 basis points. Maybe they come up with a little buy program to push it green just for the, a token up day. But the NASDAQ is the big loser on the day, down 60 basis points here. Led lower by some of the kind of big tech names. You see Tesla on my screen down 1.2. NVIDIA down 3 1/3 there. That is also being dragged down. We talked about this yesterday. SMCI down another 8%. Take a look at that weekly. That is a slice if I've ever seen that. So those AI names really taking a hit. If you want to look at a few more of them, look at Palantir, AI. So pretty big outside moves in some of these names. NVIDIA taking a big slice. That's going to close below this green bar here, 416.49. So that may get a 400 test at some point next week, and there's also this trend line right here. We are going into OPEX next week, so expect a lot of game playing as far as the spiders are concerned. We've been talking about, kind of like when are we gonna get kind of like a near-term bottom? Is that today? It kind of looks like it. I would have really preferred, and I've said this basically all week long, I would have preferred like just a flush, just kind of a vol spike, just puke it into the 50 MA, puke it into this trend line, pierce the trend line, and then give us, that way you can get that kind of V-shape setup, but we're just kind of like grinding lower. There's just not like the greatest setup. For a dip buy, honestly, you want to see it flush out and wash out that, wash out those buyers, and then you can get that V-shape. But right now, it's just kind of stuck in this range. We're seeing the VIX continue to hold up, although it is backing off a little bit now, down 5.62 on the day, but it's still holding those pivots there. We are going into an OPEX week, so the volatility may come in a little bit. I do think we're likely to rally one way or the other. It's just a matter of, do we test lower prices first, like Monday, Tuesday, and then push up? But right now, I do think the market's kind of positioned here. For right now, there's nothing to say. We're holding that 444 area, right? So we gapped down today. We did gap down like I was wanting. When we kind of rolled over in the middle. Well, we had the low of the day here, and then the Qs rolled over in the middle of the day. And we are off the lows, even though we're red. So it just, to me, it doesn't look like usually when you put in a low, it's going to look like this, and then you get a pullback and then another leg up. Right now, we're just kind of pinned. So definitely kind of weak. I know Delta's here. The 0DTE, it's been red all day long. Delta and Gamma have been, and that's been the case for the last couple of weeks too. So 0DTE's still been on the weaker side. Gamma's been negative, and that's putting pressure on the market here. And all the charts have been negative. We talked about this ad nauseum. We now have lower highs, lower lows, and that does signal a trend change here. But right now, 444 holding. If we do push up, again, obviously 450, 20 MA, and then really 453 are your big levels here in the short term. Outside of that, if we do push lower, again, obviously 50 MA in this trend line here, this should hold, on the first test. I don't know if you want to even count today as a test. You could, if you want to cheat, you could say, we kind of, we'll move it up there. You can do that if you want. It's basically a kiss of the 50 MA. I'll give it that. Let's look at the SPX here, just because I want to see sometimes it's closer. Not really. But either way, we're holding this level. I am looking for a bounce here. I just don't know how high a bounce we're going to get. Like I said, I would have preferred more of a slice, and then you can kind of V-shape here. But again, we're going to OPEX week, so we'll kind of be neutral to positive for the most part, as we are down a little bit going into that, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Triple Qs here, finishing with a doji. Now, that did slice that trend line. So that is now confirmed, and I was just telling my members about this. Take a look here. 50 moving average, closed below it Wednesday. Yesterday, we didn't close red, but today we're going to close below Wednesday's low. So we've now confirmed below break of 50 moving average. When's the last time that happened? Was it in April? No. Was it in March? No. You have to go all the way back to the beginning of the year. And not even right here. Right here, we closed below it when we ripped up the next day. We closed below it here, we ripped up the next day. We got close to it when we ripped right back up. You got to go all the way back to, the first week of January. the last time we were below that 50 moving average, like as confirmed resistance essentially. So definitely a change of character here. We've been warning about this. The NASDAQ should be weak, specifically big tech, and that has been the case here. Apple did get the gap down today, like I've been looking for. Is that a low? You know, could it just have tested to 175? You know, for me. You know, I don't really love it. You could still make a case. In fact, this is technically still bearish inside bar. I want a gap down and a flush and then a V shape, and we're just not getting it. So, you know, sometimes they don't always make it easy. And we do have OPEX next week, so we'll kind of be neutral right now. But triple Q's definitely sliced that 50 MA, and that's a confirmed break here. And I still think there's real estate to the downside here. We got the purple trend line in the 20-week moving average. That should get tested at some point. Maybe not in the short term, but we do need to go down and test that. We've not built any supports on this move up here. It's just been a straight up melt up. And as we've seen in the case of some of these stocks, SMCI being one of them, they can go down just as fast as they went up. In fact, a lot faster. So anyways, let's look at the Russell here. That did get a bid. This one actually looks like it may have put in a low, though it did come off the highs. So essentially kissing that 50 MA. We did fill the gap. It looks like 189.80, and low of the day was 189.74. So we did just fill that gap there. If you actually look at the RTY, it did actually tag the 50 MA, and you got these pivots in here as well. So I think the Russell can get a nice bid. We'll see resistance around 1975 on the RTY. On the IWM, it's, you know, we'll just say 195 here. For simplicity's sake, the 20 moving average sitting in that area as well. Dow here holding up as well. Again, that can still move higher. That's still above trend. Still has the 20 moving average there. Kind of a sloppy pattern here, but not terrible there on the weekly. And you're just consolidating below that 355 handle, so no real issues there with the Dow just yet. All right, issues though, semiconductors. This is a confirmed breakdown below 150. There should be some daily chart support right in this area here. So this is kind of where you pulled back and then you started to move higher. So right in this area, there's daily chart support. If you lose that, we're going down here. So again, right there. And it doesn't get much better than that. Now, again, it's probably going to go on a straight line. You'll get bounces. You may hit 145, bounce up to 150, and then back down to this area. And then I think you go down to this gap too. But either way, semiconductors on the weaker side down 2.5%. That is a negative for technology. It's a negative for stocks. I never like to see the semiconductors showing weakness, especially when they're leading to the downside. I like to see them leading to the upside. And when they're outperforming stocks at the downside, it's definitely a big negative. But in any case, we'll see if they can get a bounce around 145 next week. Cloud software here, trying to hang on. It is going to hold this weekly low. So that's a positive. That's a big positive for the IGV. But a close below that on the weekly takes you down in this trend line still. But it's hanging on there. Watch out for bear flagging too. So if this bear flags next week, you can slice that weekly low and then push down to 320. Ultimately, I think it gets down there regardless, but right now it's holding up, and you're holding that important weekly chart level there. Dow Transports here on the softer side, down 20 basis points, nothing crazy here. Again, it's trying to kind of consolidate this big up move. Nothing really terrible with it. It is still outperforming. Again, levels haven't changed. If it goes lower, 15.5, 15.6. If we do break above that, then 17,000 is your level there on the DJT. As far as interest rates today, we'll talk about that. There we go. All right, so rates here a little bit higher. Again, PPI numbers came out this morning, a little bit hotter than expected, so that kind of freaked the market out a little bit because PPI is a leading indicator. So when producer prices go up, companies, producers, retailers, etc., they will do everything they can to not raise prices until they absolutely have to, and that shows up obviously before it makes its way to the consumer. So it can be a leading indicator. Freaked the market out a little bit because CPI was like better than expected yesterday, even though it was still hotter than last month. But regardless, yields up 5 basis points there on the 2-year, up to 4.90. I don't know about you, it looks pretty bullish to me. 5-year looks pretty bullish. You can make a case you got a kind of a cup and handle type look there. 10-year, same thing. 30-year, same thing. So again, yields very strong. You guys know I'm bullish yields, and that's not going to change for a long time. Doesn't mean they can't have pullbacks though. But XHB here down 6 cents. Again, still has that kind of rolling top look, but that is still in an uptrend. Same thing with IGB there. Not doing anything with those right now. VNQ bear flagging still. I think that needs to go down and test this lower trend line here. At the very least, that is a daily bear flag after a failed weekly inside bar last week with that close. So VNQ still on the softer side. XLF here still holding up. Again, you guys know what I'm going to say. It can still get to 36, 36.20. If the market goes down, it may drag financials down with it, but until that happens, they're still holding up okay. KRE still holding all 4 major moving averages. KBE still holding all 4 major I should say that it's below the 200. Actually, okay, so not KRE either, but it's holding these 3. So short-term trend is fine on both of these, so they can still go higher, believe it or not. Broker dealers here again, kind of continuing to pull back. Let's take a look here. You may even be able to make a case. You got a trend line right here. And it's funny, it's almost like there's another rising wedge. I don't really like that much. Never mind. But either way, you do have a trend line right here. It's very steep. We'll see if that gets us some support there and maybe gets back up to 510 here, but definitely a pullback there for XBD. Anyways, let's get over to commodities. So crude on the day up 27 cents. This is close to the wire here. That's probably not going to happen because generally it doesn't happen in the last hour. If they were to do this, they would have done it by the comics close, I would assume. But we are. It does look like we're going to close above 82.72. I've been waiting for this for 8 months now. But I'm not going to call it a breakout until we close above 83.53. Just because we put that pivot in right there, I just don't. I would feel better about it. I think this has to pull back. What better time to do it than during OPEX week next week? But it is very strong. So I wouldn't fight the trend here in crude starting to turn back up. But once you get a close above this on a weekly, this is going to shoot a lot higher. But right now, probably needs to do some backing and filling. It's up, 20% or so in the last month. So we probably need to pull back a little bit. But crude's still very strong there. It does look like that weekly resistance will hold for now, but we did get above this one. And crude is very strong. XLE here up again. So that's basically at the highs of the day right now, up 1.5% here. That wants to get into the low 90s. That looks really strong. XOP still really strong. Very overbought though. OIH still strong and very overbought as well. Nat gas here getting a little bit of a rebound after the sell yesterday. He has a nice base to work off of. Again, retesting the 20 MA and this kind of trend line essentially. Could do some backing and filling here, but you have a very, very big bull base that took about 8 weeks to build up. So buyers are in this area, and as you can see today, they were willing to buy this dip here. Once this gets above 3, it's squeeze mode on this, but it's been kind of in that period where you get buyers here and then some sellers, buyers, sellers, lots of backing and filling, lots of consolidation, but that's what happens when you get these big longer term chart patterns. But right now, did get a little bit of a bid off the lows, and buyers stepped in. Anyways, over the dollar index here. So DXY, it's above weekly resistance. So that bullish inside bar on the daily played out. So here's your weekly. I know there's a lot of lines here, but that's a negation. So that's a failed inside bar pattern on the dollar. I would not be short. I'll just put it that way. There is still resistance up here. So I don't want to say that's not a license to buy. There is still some resistance here. You've got weekly chart resistance at now 103.75. That's a big level. Daily chart, we've got it at 103.37. But right now, I would not be short the dollar because that is a failed pattern on the DXY, failed bearish pattern. So be aware of that. Dollar index coming off the lows there, and definitely maybe the demise is greatly exaggerated. We'll see. Gold still on the softer side, down fractionally. That still, I think, has to get to 1900. I haven't done anything with that yet. Silver here, again, fractionally lower as well, down 8 cents. I still think that wants to have one more leg down. It is oversold though. Maybe the metals will get a little bit of a bid into OPEX week. That certainly could happen there. Platinum getting a little bit of a bounce. Nothing to do there. Palladium trying to get above this trend line. We'll see. it's not a great trend line here. We'll see how this does. It still has that weekly bear flag look, but you did get volume coming off the lows. So we'll watch this one for pattern moving forward. I'm still not doing anything with it yet, though. And did come off the highs, too. Copper, testing where? 370. So there it is. A little bit of a test, somewhat of a bounce there. I still think it has to have one more leg lower, but again, it's holding up. I'm still not touching that either. And Bitcoin's still in the 29,000 handle. I think this is just waiting for that ETF news, but weekly chart still looks really strong. If this gets positive news from that ETF, that gets approved, this probably takes off. If not, maybe it could sell a little bit, but I don't see it going that much lower based on that chart pattern on the weekly. All right, here. So market's set to close here in about 2 minutes. Spiders, coming in a little bit here. So 445, 446 pin. Not much going on, right? So have we bottomed here? It's possible. I would have preferred a flush into this area. We could still get that Monday, Tuesday. If we do, I think you could probably buy the dip for a move into Friday. Maybe they front run it early and we push up. But right now, near-term level still 444, 50 MA, and this daily chart trend line. And then on the upside, 450, 20 MA, and then 453 are the levels to watch here in the short term. Anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you guys all next week.